Opening day is here, and the White Sox are ready to battle the Detroit Tigers. Is this the year Chicago becomes a Sox town once again? And how are you celebrating the return of baseball?
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong diehard Chicago White Sox fan. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Just trying to pass along my passions to you. Hopefully these conversations continue amongst your coworkers, family, friends. If you enjoy this podcast, please pass it along to other White Sox fans. We are going to talk about the joy of having baseball back, whether or not it matters that Chicago is a Sox town. But first, let's talk White Sox at Detroit. The state of the Sox, it's finally here, folks. Opening day, Sox at Detroit for the first three games. Weather forecast for Friday's game does not look good. However, it should be dry for games 2 and 3 on Saturday and Sunday. In yesterday's episode, we put a bow on spring training, and I talked about how, aside from some aches and pains, most of our offensive players came out of spring training relatively healthy. Not necessarily the case. We've got some injuries and roster moves to talk about. Rick Hahn said Yoan Moncada is out 3 weeks with a grade 1 oblique strain. He said Ryan Burr, right shoulder strain, should be back sooner than that. But Hahn said Moncada wanted to play through it, but feels it whenever he laughs or sneezes. Also when he swings, which could be a problem. We'll talk a little bit more about that. That's a real bummer. We could see the problem with that is, by the time if he has problems swinging, to ramp him back up with the cold weather. We talked yesterday, a lot of games in the Midwest to start off the season that could be problematic. Mike Rodolfo designated for assignment. Sebi Zavala outrighted to Charlotte. The White Sox recalled Jake Berger and Foster from Charlotte. Here are the pitching matchups for Game 1 against Detroit. Lucas Giolito versus Eduardo Rodriguez, who's a left-handed pitcher. Rodriguez, of course, came from Boston. That was the big acquisition for Detroit. Last year with Boston, Rodriguez was 13-8 with a 4.74 ERA. The White Sox did really well against lefties last year. Against left-handed starters, the Sox hit .269, slugged .449, and had a .793 OPS. Game 2 right now, Dylan Cease versus TBD. In Game 3, Michael Kopech versus TBD. I'm sure there'll be some changes to that very soon for Detroit. But all 3 games are set for 12:10, 3 afternoon games. Out of the 30 ball clubs, the Sox were in the top 10 for offensive production during day games, where Detroit ranked 22nd. So how did the Sox fare against Detroit in 2021? Well, last year, the Sox did not see the Tigers until a 4-game series in late April, where we split. The Sox visited Detroit last year for the first time in June and swept a 3-game series. Overall, the Sox were 12-7 with a plus 35 run diff. against the Tigers. That's pretty good. The Sox did really well against the Twins as well in the AL Central. But you just kind of felt it, didn't you? Thinking back to those games against the Tigers. So a 5 games over 500 record against the Tigers last year. In my personal opinion, I think, and this isn't like a hot take or anything, I think a lot of people are thinking this. Detroit's going to be the toughest test in the Central for the Sox. And we start off against the Tigers without Tim Anderson for the first 2 games of the series because of a suspension stemming from an issue last season where he made contact with an umpire. Tim is going to be missed, especially with this Moncada situation. Tim has feasted on the Tigers. In 2021, Anderson hit .389, slugged .514, and had a .943 OPS against Detroit. Anderson hit .313 in April last season and had an .821 OPS. He led the team with 5 stolen bases in April. Thankfully, it's only 2 games. Tim he's the guy that gets things going. It's been a joy to watch him play over the last 2 seasons. And, there was a game during spring training, I believe it was the Dodgers, where effortlessly almost he was 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs, and take that for what it is, but the joy he has, he gets on base, he doesn't see a lot of pitches, he attacks, and as soon as he gets on, he is smiling and he's jawing to his teammates in the dugout. That excitement, I really feel is contagious, and especially with some of these younger guys, he has been such a leader. So to miss him, I know it's only 2 games, but still, the first 2 games of the year, you want to set the tone, especially against a division rival that you think, might be, kind of nipping at your heels throughout the season, perhaps. So thankfully, again, it'll be 2 games. We'll see him back on Sunday. And then, of course, for the home opener on Tuesday, April 12th. The Moncada situation is difficult. Moncada has gotten a bad rap over the last several years. I think maybe it's a generational thing. I don't know that, he can't stay healthy. He has leg problems. Of course, there was a COVID situation a few seasons ago. A lot of folks will be quick to point out the wincing, maybe the painful looks in his face after he legs out a double, or he's played in a lot of games. And he's powered through some things. Hahn went further in his quote today saying that Moncada wanted to play through it. The fact that it's a right oblique and it hurts when he swings, I don't think that's how you want to start the year off. It might not be 3 full weeks. Hopefully, it's sooner than that. When Vaughn went down several weeks ago with a hip issue, they made it sound like it was going to be, 1 to 2 weeks, and Vaughn was back relatively soon. So hoping for a speedy recovery for Moncada. We need him, expecting big things from Moncada this year, not only defensively, but offensively. Want to talk about if it's important to you if Chicago becomes a Sox town. We're going to get to that, more on that just in a moment. Hey, it's this time of year where pretty much everybody's given up on New Year's resolutions, but I'm sticking to mine thanks to Built Bar. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, they're not just a protein bar. All Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, Puffs included. 100% real chocolate, a low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. Go to built.com. You'll be blown away. High protein, low cal, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. At Built Bar, they are all about the taste. They make it taste delicious first, then figure out how to make it healthy. go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15, that's LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. Locked On MLB Prospects host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, for as long as I've been alive, Chicago has been a Cubs town. Even if you are in the greater Chicagoland, it has just felt that way. I know that, it wasn't always the case. I've heard the stories. I've heard, stuff from family and friends. I've read the articles about how the Sox dominated the city's attention in the 60s and 70s, thanks to the World Series appearance in 1959. But if you're new to Chicago, or maybe haven't spent a lot of time in the city proper, you might not fully grasp how different the North Side and South Side actually are. They're worlds different, and the media doesn't do any favor, North Siders, South Siders, and almost pitting Cubs and Sox against each other. Despite the fact that they're in completely different leagues, but it feels like there are two different cities. I mean, every neighborhood almost feels like it's got a different vibe, but the North Side is very different than the South Side. I have spent some time on the North Side, and if you have, whether it's just living on the North Side as a Sox fan, or maybe you're working up on the North Side, it's very, very different. Try being on the North Side. When there's a Sox game playing, you will not find it on a TV at a bar or a restaurant. It is a struggle to get the Sox on TV. Normally there'll be 6 or 7, maybe 8 flat screen TVs. And even if there isn't a Cubs game on and it's just the Sox playing, you will have to beg the bartender, your waiter, the host, whoever you can get an ear, and try to get the Sox on. And that's just how it is. And, it's like that on the South Side too. There isn't a lot of attention paid to the Cubs. And, there's a lot of fans that like it that way. There's a South Side mentality of just stay out of White Sox business. We like being the underdog. I bring this topic up not only because baseball has started, but there was a recent article in Crane's magazine, and it talks about how the Sox could displace the Cubs as Chicago's baseball team this year. In the article, just a lot of discussion over attendance and over the quality of the teams, of course. All Chicago fans, I think, can agree that the Cubs and Sox are heading in different directions. So does it matter to you if Chicago becomes a Sox town? I think it's an interesting conversation to bring back to other Sox fans in your life, or even any Cubs fans in your life, family members. You're most likely going to be getting together with some folks over the next couple weeks, months, with baseball going on. And, if it's going to happen and the Sox, this is going to become a Sox town, then these next few years, the time is now. I definitely feel like both teams are trending in opposite directions, and it's not just a one-year thing. The Cubs are, working on building things back up, where the Sox are in a championship window. I mean, exciting players, winning product can really flip some fans or bring Chicago transplants to the Sox. That's what, the Sox have been lacking for several years. Just some exciting players that younger fans can gravitate towards. And I get it. When you had guys like Rizzo and Bryant and Schwarber and Baez on the North Side, of course, a kid growing up on the North Side is going to easily gravitate towards those guys. But maybe baseball fans all over the city saw something in those guys. It was exciting. They were winning. And things are flipped. And Chicago, I think, the White Sox are the talk of the town. They're starting to get a little national buzz. And again, I don't know if it matters to you. It used to matter a lot to me, honestly. the disrespect that the White Sox got over and over, not just nationally, but locally, it stung. And I don't know exactly why it stung, but I just wanted the White Sox to get their fair shake. You go into, you go into Target or you go into some other, retail shop that has gear, that has souvenirs, sweatshirts, hats, T-shirts. I mean, you could not find Sox gear anywhere. It was Cubs stuff was stocked, and it's starting to change a little bit, I think, in certain pockets. That's why I love Grandstand so much. In the Chicago Sports Depot, you know what you're getting. You're getting primarily White Sox gear. I've kind of calmed a little bit over the years, and I guess I don't care too much because you know what? If you're not with us, get out of the way. And I think based on the talent that we're going to roll out over the next few seasons, and we talked predictions, individual and team last episode, but this team is going to be so exciting. And, it's not just the flash and the big numbers, but they're going to be successful. And I think they're going to turn some folks onto the White Sox. And that's great. Come on over. And maybe Chicago becomes a White Sox town. But I think, I'm in the camp of, you know what? It doesn't really matter. I love my team. I'm a diehard no matter what. And again, if you're not with us, just move aside because this is a train right now that's moving at top speed. Want to talk about how you prepare for opening day? What are some of your rituals? I know I have mine. It really changes, I guess, if they're at home or on the way, but we're going to get to that in just a moment. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including this week's Masters Championship odds, podcasts, and reviews for all the different leagues this season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet online, where the game starts. And there are some you want to make some money, folks, head on over to Bet Online and take a look at the over-under for Luis Robert, RBIs and total home runs. They have got the over-under set for home runs at 30.5. I'm telling you, that's going to be over. Make some easy money. And for total RBIs, for this 2022 regular season, 95.5. I think that's over. But the home run one, man, if you want to make some easy money, go over to betonline.net and hook yourself up there. It's opening day. Baseball is back. Opening day for the Sox, of course, is today. Baseball has already started with some games happening on Thursday. It's become over the years like an opening week. Not everybody starts, of course, on the same day. The question is, should opening day be a holiday? I mean, if we could get it back where all teams, or I guess the majority of the teams, when they start, which is going to be here Friday, April 8th, should that be a national holiday? Because so many people are taking the day off. And if your team is at home and you have the ability, you are going to go, you're going to tailgate, you're going to enjoy yourself. If not, you might just be having folks over. I mean, how do you celebrate? I've done it, so many different ways. I've taken the day off when the Sox have been on the road, just so I can focus completely on the game and everything leading up to it. Prepare. I've done Chicago hot dogs, different stadium foods, especially when the team's on the road, trying to mimic what it would be like to be in the stadium, having people over, of course. If it's a nice day and you've got the ability to set up a projector in your backyard or on your garage door, like I might do every now and then, it's got a little bit of a baseball stadium feel. Food of choice. I mentioned, Chicago dogs. Are you grilling? It's supposed to be in the 60s for the home opener, which we'll talk about next week. In Detroit, it's going to be a little on the cooler side, but still, bundle up. There's something magical about opening day, especially when your team opens up at home. If you're like me, you even might even record it or find a way to watch it later. You might be following it. I think for opening day, I'll be following a little bit at work watching, but I want to go back in the evening and rewatch it because I don't want to miss anything. Too many distractions trying to multitask. It's really exciting. We've been waiting, and for a city in the Midwest, it's been a long winter. It's been a dreary winter and so many question marks with baseball, whether it was going to be back or not. And of course, opening day was supposed to be last week and it was supposed to be a home opener. And we're going to, talk a little bit about that. The Sox started the season at home in 2020, but of course, no fans. You have to go all the way back to 2017 to find an opening day that was also the home opener. And oddly enough, I guess it was against Detroit and we lost. I do remember that game, unfortunately. So I guess in a way, that's why it stung so much when the March 31st original opening day and home opener got pushed because we haven't experienced that as a fan base in a while. But hey, it's exciting to have baseball back. Tony La Russa has rolled out the opening day lineup already. We got a sneak preview at that. It might have changed. It might tinkered. Who knows what might happen Friday morning, but it looks like it could be something like this. AJ Pollock in right field leading off. Luis Robert batting second in center field. Jose Abreu at first base. Yasmani Grandal catching. Jimenez in left field. Leury Garcia at shortstop. Harrison at second base. Vaughn's your DH. Jake Berger at third. And Lucas Giolito, of course, on the hill. So Garcia is going to get some of those starts at shortstop. Maybe you even see Danny Mendick this series. And Berger, obviously recalled from Charlotte. He's getting some third base action. It'd be interesting to see what Berger does. I think we're all rooting for Berger. He has had just so many health issues, and we've seen a little bit of what he could do at the big league level. We just don't have a big enough sample size. So he's got a shot. He's at the hot corner on opening day for the 2022 White Sox, which is pretty cool. We've spoke about the schedule, the April schedule. 13 of the first 21 games are against the AL Central. So it's a real opportunity to make immediate ground in the division. Seattle, Tampa Bay, and the Angels are other opponents in April. The Sox, their home opener will be against Seattle next week. Want to thank you folks so much for joining us. I am Nick Morawski. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. You can find Locked On Sox on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB with Paul Francis Sullivan. Call him Sully. He brings you his unique perspective on the major leagues past and present. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Happy opening day. It's going to be an exciting season. Next time we talk, we'll be previewing, of course, the home opener, but we're also going to wrap up the Detroit series. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.